Hey everyone, welcome to Millennium Computers online 5-minute tutorial series. Today's course is going to take a really specific look at fast budget and forecasting and how to create virtual columns on the various summary reports in budget development. Now, I know we have a lot of tutorials dedicated to virtual columns, so there is going to be some repetition in what you might already know. So of course, what I've done already is I've executed a basic summary by focal summary report. In this case, I'm running a budget report, but the functionality would work the same using a budget report, a forecast report, or even a monthly trend report. So first things first, let's do a quick recap of virtual columns. If I click on my gear button, I have two options as either an end user or administrator. I can either click plus new to add, or I can click the gear button to manage. At this point, I don't have any virtual columns yet created, so I'm going to click the plus new button. So let's walk through the steps of creating a basic virtual column for this report. I'm going to create a column title called difference. Width in pixels defaults to 100. I think 100 is going to be good in this case. You could certainly make it bigger or smaller if you'd like the cells to be wider or more narrow. Keep in mind what the sort order lookup refers to. If I click the drop down, it's just simply showing me the current sequence of all these columns. If I'd like to insert my new column somewhere in between the existing rows, I would need to insert them between the numbers on the left-hand side. The alternative is to keep the sort order defaulted to the system-generated number. It's always, by default, going to put it at the end of the report. I can choose to format these cells if I'd like to. In this case, I think I'll use a currency field without decimals, but with dollar signs. Under alignment, you can choose between right, left, or center, and I think it should just be consistent with the report formatting already on the page. If you'd like it to calculate your footer total, go ahead and select this option. Now this gets to the interesting part, and that is creating a calculated formula for this equation. Now, if you are an absolute whiz in Oracle-based language, you can simply key in your formula into the cell provided. If you want a little bit of help, we've given you available fields and operators to get you started. Under available fields, I need to decide which columns I'd like to use. Now, I think first off, I'd like to take my Board of Directors draft version, and that actually refers to my final budget development draft for this fiscal year. I'm going to take that and click Add Field to add it to my equation. Next, under the operators, I can choose from a variety of functions. I'm going to choose minus and click Add. And then what I'd like to do is subtract that total from my draft 4, which was my final working draft before it was board approved, and click Add Field again. Now, if you'd like to add more combinations and make this a more complex formula, you're free to do that. Just be sure you're using valid Oracle language and that all the correct brackets and parentheses are in the right position. When you're ready to go and test this, we can click the Save button. If your goal is to create this for all end users and make this a public virtual column, you would also enable the checkbox that says Available to all users. My strong recommendation is that you do this once you've already tested the formula and make sure you like what you see. Let's go ahead and save that now. Here's our column at the end called Difference. And essentially what I'm doing is I'm trying to calculate the difference between my board-approved development series and my final draft. Now, a couple things I want to point out on this page. One of the most important things is keep in mind what we're actually looking at here. We're looking at the summary by focal of the budget report. On my development menu, you must remember from prior tutorials that under budget, there are 3 report options: summary by hierarchy, summary by focal, and summary by account detail. Because these are distinct reports, if you'd like a virtual column to appear on each report level, you need to create separate virtual columns at each level in your chart of accounts hierarchy. Another important distinction here is that these virtual columns, just like the development series we're working in, are fiscal year specific. This virtual column only exists for fiscal year 2017. Another really important thing to mention is that if you create a development series, create a virtual column like we've just done in this example, and then if you delete one of the development series used in that formula, you're going to get an error message when you try to execute this report. These are just some of the key things you want to think about as you begin building virtual columns. Now, if we'd like to delete or edit this virtual column, there's 2 ways we can do that. The first, click on the column header. You'll notice I can either edit or delete this virtual column from my drop-down toolbar. I'm only seeing this option because this is a private or personal virtual column. I've not enabled it for public consumption. I can also click back on my gear button, click Manage, and I have currently 1 private virtual column that I can choose to disable delete, or edit. If I choose to edit this virtual column, I can also now enable this for all end users if I'd like everyone to be able to see this column when the report is run. I hope this was a helpful introduction to how to create virtual columns on your budget development summary reports.